YouTube! You want to learn how to make a shark rig? We got you covered. My voice doesn't got you covered. You're going to start out, you want to find either a reel that's going to suit, what your need is. This is one of the reels that we use to go shark fishing. Zach can tell you a little bit more about this.
Yeah, this is a Penn International. It's 80 wide. It's got about 80 pounds of drag. And the key is you want to minimize your fight time with the fish. It makes it safer for the fish so you can have a safe release. And it also just keeps conservation up so you can have a chance to maybe catch it again one day.
Yeah, because that's the thing, especially when you're shark fishing, you can actually tire the shark out so much that it can die while you're fighting it. You can fight it too long and it'll die. It's really known, especially in like the hammerhead community, like they have a really hard time with hammerheads. So we're going to dive right into the rod, the reel. We got a whole assortment of tackle from your line, your hook, your leader material, the whole 9 yards. Just a quick, easy how to make a shark rig.
All right, here we go. All right, first things first, you're going to want about no less than 100-pound mono. We use 200-pound mono just because to be on the safe side. Well, sharks got very rough skin to begin with, so if you're using anything less than 100, there's a pretty high chance that the line's just going to chafe through and it's going to break off.
People that haven't, actually touched or felt a shark, because I know some people from up north, they don't even really they heard of sharks, or people that are landlocked. It is literally like running your hand over sandpaper. Like 500 grit sandpaper, just run your hand right on it. That's the same feeling. So we use pretty heavy stuff when it comes to this. When you're reeling in a 200, 300-pound fish, minimum, that's, the safest thing to do. So we talked about your leader material. Worry about it. Number 19 braided steel cable. I know that's kind of hard for you guys to see, but I mean, it is legitimately steel cable. I think it's got a breaking strength of like 500 pounds or 400 pounds, somewhere in that range. And then we're going to show you how to put all this together. We're just showing you everything to begin with. You can use either number 16 or 18, depending on what size shark you're going after. This is number 16. This kind of generally covers your whole basis. You can get your little ones. I mean, we caught a freaking blue runner on a piece of blue runner with a 16-aught hook. Kind of self-sufficient there.
Now, another thing with these, a lot of people will file the barb down just to make it safer for you to release the fish, and it's a lot easier to release the fish because you don't have to worry about the barb hanging up on anything. So I'd recommend filing the barb down.
Yeah, if you really want to get serious into it, yeah, I do the same thing. But we don't have a problem getting on top of the fish and unhooking it, and I think it's a little bit more efficient knowing you're going to have the fish hooked and hooked well. So then we're actually going to show you how to make a shark rig that's made with just a brick. Like, you can use it with a brick because you're going to have to weigh it down. You can either use a brick, you can use your lead, whatever you have laying around really that's just heavy and it's biodegradable, environmental friendly, that kind of thing.
I don't think lead's very environmental friendly.
Well, I mean,
well, the reason we use a brick is because lead's so expensive.
Yeah.
If you're gonna have a 2-pound piece of lead holding the bait down 400 or 500 yards, you're paying $20 if you lose that whole rig versus $1 with a brick.
Well, the whole rig's a little bit more than just $1.
Well, the brick is what we're mostly worried about.
There you go.
Is the lead. That's the main thing. Is just weighing your bait down.
The brick, you're paying less than $1. You're paying like 30 cents, and most people have like concrete laying around in their backyard, or they've got bricks laying around in their house. Whatever. It is what it is. Next thing you want a handful of swivels. This is not your every average day, 10, 20 pound swivel. Pretty sure this one's rated to 150. Everything that we're going to use when we make our shark rig is in the class from like 100 pounds to 200 pounds. That's really what we want, except for when you're talking about your leader material that you want from your brick to your leader that's actually holding your bait. Because when you have that, you just want it tight enough just so you can break the line. This is some 14-pound mono. I mean, it's just stuff we use for bass fishing. That'll work perfectly fine. All you want to do is tie a loose knot around your brick. It's an average brick. Just tie your knot around that, and then where you would hang your weight on your rig. And then when you go to set the hook, it will actually break it. it'll break the line, and that's what you want. So that way, you know, the brick stays there and you're just fighting the fish and you're not pulling in the extra weight. So we're going to switch camera angles, and Zach's actually going to show you guys how to fully make a shark rig.
Alright, so first thing you're going to need to make your shark rig, you're going to take about a 2-foot section of 200-pound mono, and then you got your number 9 crimps. You're just going to thread that through right there. You can take that and just hold that so that doesn't go nowhere. Then you got your 150-pound swivel. You're going to run that in, and you're going to take this loop and feed it right back through there. Kind of a pain, but there you go. You don't want to loop that big, that's just going to cause stress on the line. So what I do is I hold that crimp, and then I pull the line to make a smaller loop to keep the stress off. I'm going to take my little handy dandy crimping tools. And a lot of people don't realize, and it took me a while to figure it out, you have different style of crimps. You want to use the very last one because that's for a non-insulated crimp. This one would be for insulated, and that one would be for a barrel sleeve. So you just take that, you hold it up on its side right here, take it and just crimp it down, and just go all the way down to the end of the line. Careful not to cut your line. And that's what it should look like. Now, take your other end. You just have little fishing beads. You can use craft beads or pretty much really anything you want to use. And that keeps the swivel from busting up against the line. Just take one bead and slide it on. Just gonna use this brick to hold it down. So gonna take that bead and slide it down. Then you got your snap swivel that you're gonna attach your line that ties to your brick. You just thread that through on the line, like so.
Make sure it's between your beads.
And then you have your other bead that you put on. And this is going to act as like, that way your bait can really go up and down, like in different water columns.
So Zach, why do we put the beads?
Well, your beads are pretty much just to protect your swivel from...
And your crimp, to protect that crimp right there.
Because if you have a weight just bashing up and down, that eventually it's just going to break. You take that, and you have your second crimp. You're going to thread through just like I showed you with the first one. And your other 150-pound swivel. And you're pretty much just going to do the exact same thing. Pull that tight. Crimps all the way to the back, and just crimp it all the way down like that. Now next you have your cable, and you take your number 9 crimps. You want to find a crimp that's going to be for the right size of the style of leader or line you're using, so it doesn't shift around or get crunched up when you crimp it.
So why do we use wire leader?
Well, sharks have teeth, so you don't want to use pretty much fishing line or anything that you can cut freely with a knife versus a steel cable. Shark's going to bite right through it. So you pretty much do the exact same thing I showed you with the main line. You're going to take your barrel crimp and slide it on, and your number 16 circle hook, and that's just going to go right there. Take enough to where you can make you a nice little loop, and then thread that back through, and you're going to want to hold that crimp and pull that tight, and it should end up looking like that, a nice little tight loop, but not too tight, that way the hook can move freely. And just gonna take this, crimp that down. Make sure you tug on it just a little bit and make sure it's pretty secure. And now for the final step, you take your second number 9 barrel crimp. You're gonna thread that back through just like I showed you before. Through your swivel.
So we failed to mention too, this entire rig is made with crimps. No tying needed. You do not need to tie. There's no reason to tie. I know everybody in the comments or anybody that's been fishing for a while is going to say, oh, well, I could tie it. You get a 200-pound shark on there, it's more than likely going to break.
I'd like to meet you too if you can tie 200-pound mono as well. You've got to be pretty strong to do that. And that is your finished product for just your basic simple shark rig.
Tie your brick on there.
Alright, now for your weight. You don't really have to take a big long piece of line, just maybe like a foot. Just cut that. There's your cheap monofilament. You're just going to want to take that. You can tie whatever knot you want to tie on there pretty much because you're going to lose it regardless. I usually just do like 3 wraps with a clinch knot. And then it should look somewhat like that. Pretty much you just take your line, find a hole in the brick, thread that in. If you want, you can even rough the line up a little bit so it breaks a little bit easier. And just take that, just do a couple of loops.
Guys, and if you plan on to get into serious shark fishing, this is much better on your wallet. You're gonna pay $20 for the wire, you're gonna pay $15, $20 for the line, and probably, you know, if you can find the hooks on sale, probably like $8 for the hooks for a pack of like 10 maybe. And these are rough guesstimates and stuff that we've found. But if you were to go and find this entire rig already rigged exactly like this, minus the brick, you're paying $8 minimum a rig. This is just a cheap, easier way if you guys want to seriously get into shark fishing.